Hey everybody, this is DayTraderRockStar here for Day Trading Radio. I'm going to do a Veru update, Veru Health Company. We've been trading this since the early spring, got into this one really good at one in chain, 118 to 120, and picked some more up at 130, and continued to follow this. So this is a very active stock that I'm trading, and we have a big catalyst coming up. We've been actually waiting for a catalyst to hit this stock over the last couple months. And I want to discuss that right now because one of the, there's probably four things we're waiting for in Veru. And I'm sending this out to kind of clear out some of the, just the confusion out there and stuff. And actually I was noticing on StockTwits, this one guy, very bearish, takes everything and turns it upside down and makes it look very bearish, even though the, if as you're going to see right now, the math shows that this is actually we're in a great spot here. And I think this update, 2 weeks from now, this stock is going to be much higher. So again, not going to go into the whole company, but Veru Health Company, they have a product out called the female condom, believe it or not, and it's an FDA approved. It's a WHO approved, World Health Organization approved condom. One of only two. The other one is Cupid that has a similar product, and they're from India, and this is a U.S.-based company. So they have that product, but they also have drugs in the pipeline that are in clinical trials to treat prostate cancer, to treat all kinds of things. And I'm, again, not going to go into that because that's further down the road. But the catalyst that's coming up right now and what's needed for this company to continue on with its testing, because the products they have in the pipeline are expected to come out really well, and they're expected to get a partnership. The only thing with most of these companies in clinical trials is, having enough cash to continue those trials to a point where you become a viable candidate for a takeover or a partnership. That's where these guys go. They try to get it to phase 2 trials, and they say this rarely gets through phase 2 before they partner up with a big drug manufacturer and stuff, and that's game over basically. So right now, we're at this section here in 2018. This was kind of their timeline from the Jefferies conference, and these are the key points I want to point out. That the U.S. business, they have cash. It's just not a company out here that you see an IPO and clinical trials that are trying to raise money so they could invent something. They have a product, they have a good cash flow, and it's important that that continues. So the big news is these two contracts that are supposed to come from both Brazil and South Africa. Now, recently, August 1st, Cupid came out with a press release saying they received their contract from South Africa. And I want to show you that in a second. This is where I think there's a confusion because I don't even know what his name is here. But saying that that Veru did not get the big share of the condom deal out of South Africa. South Africa, and I want to show you this right now, and I want to actually play you a clip of the CEO talking about how much he's expecting. So let me line that up for you. Here it is.
The reason we retained it is because it generates money. And so last year the revenue was $14 million.
This is about the condom.
Actually, the year before that was more towards $22 million because two of the largest clients, South African government and Brazil, did not order. We know this year that Brazil has already announced they're going to order 35 million units. That's a mistake, 35 million units. And South Africa is going to do 40 million units a year for 3 years. That's 120 million units. So the public sector business is back. In the meantime,
now that has not been announced of what part of that contract. It said that the South Africa was announced that they're going to buy 40 million units this year, 40 million next year, 120 million all over the next 3 years. So now the interesting point comes here, and again I'm going to look at the timeline here. Some interesting stuff. Let me get this set back up. All right, there you can see actually a little slide here talking about their tender. First half of 2018, 50 million, which should be 35 million. But the South African one we're talking about right now, and that's 40 million units per year for 3 years. That's 120 million units they're going to purchase in the first half of 2018, which currently is what we're considering right here, sitting right here on this. All right, here we go. Take a look at the StockTwits, and again, misinformation here. Cray P here, not even a picture to his name. Very bearish. Looks like Veru did not win the bulk of the U.S. South Africa award of 120 million condoms. It went to Cupid instead. All right, so here's the press release. All right, Cupid Limited announced they've been awarded a contract worth INR 40.09 CR from South Africa Treasury Department, going through so and so and so. And you're wondering, I was wondering the same thing. What is all these numbers? What does it mean? So I had to break it down for you. All right, so we're going to do that together, so there's no misinformation. And if I'm wrong, please let me know, because this is you don't normally deal with this conversion here. So furthermore, the total contract INR 40.09 CR is composed of the supply of the female condoms, which is what we're paying attention to, and that's worth 16.29 CR. All right, 16.29 CR INR. So let's break that down right now. All right, so again, the 40 CR, and again, INR, which is, I went to a couple of Wikipedia stuff. I guess that's the international denomination for the rupee. And the CR, if we look here, and again, I apologize if I am doing this and I'm missing something out of this, just correct me. All right, but as far as I can tell, the CR abbreviated denotes 10 million. 10 million. So 10 million. So what I did here, all right. So what I did here is took that 16 times the 10 million. All right. So I took that 16. Oops. Let me clear that. It was 16 of 29 times 10 million, because that represents a CR, represents 10 million of those. 10 million, that's going to equal a big number, 162,900,000. And then we're going to divide that, or we're going to break that into US dollars. So I want to take a look at the US dollar exchange rate, and I'll find out that, let me see where I can find that. Hold on. Not that link. Let me see where my link was here. I'm doing a lot of research here. So 0.015, 1 rupee, Indian rupee, is worth 0.015. 0.015. So if that's simple enough, we're going to multiply that number times 0.015, and that should give us US dollars, which would be $2,443,500. $2,443,500 is what that contract is worth. And as you can see here, Cupid and female condom during the period. So now we go back to the announcement of South Africa saying they're going to be buying 40 million units. 40 million units. So now what we're going to go back and remember again, even though that contract is worth in dollar amount, US dollar amount, 2,443,000, that means how many units did they sell? So we know that, well, apparently, the CEO here in Veru says that their products...
The reason we retained it is because it generates money. And so last year the revenue was $14 million. Actually, the year before that was more towards $22 million, because two of the largest clients, South African government and Brazil, did not order. We know this year that Brazil has already announced they're going to order 35 million units. That's a mistake, 35 million units. And South Africa is going to do 40 million units a year for 3 years. That's 120 million units. So the public sector business is back. In the meantime, and by the way, we have the capacity to make 100 million units annually. Our UNFPA price, so get a sense what that means money-wise, about 51 cents a unit.
51 cents a unit. Now, I'm not familiar with the UNFC price and what that represents, but let's just say they're selling it at 51 cents. So the contract's coming in, or they're buying it. South Africa's buying it at 51 cents. How much are they buying it from the Indian Sonic Cupid? We don't really know, but I do believe that Cupid makes a cheaper version of it. So that, for argument's sake, and And just doing some math here with you. For argument's sake, let me get the calculator back up here if I could find that too. They had 2,443,500, and we could. How many could we buy for that much? Divided by, and we'll call it 0.4, 40 cents. So it might be way under. It might even be cheaper. That's 6 million units. That's 6,100,000 units. 100,000 units, 750. All right, so it's 6 million. Again, they're looking at buying 40 million. But that contract, as far as I could see, South Africa contract was worth 6 million units to Cupid. That leaves about 34 million units left on the table. And we know that these are the two companies that are World Health Organization approved, and there's a good shot that we're going to get a big boost on that. And you heard the CEO of Veru here saying that a couple of years ago they were bringing in, a nice amount, a nice chunk of money on that. That's what was
because two of the largest clients, South African government and Brazil, did not order. We know this year that Brazil's already.
So it was a couple of years. They didn't order last year. So this is, and they already announced that they're going to order. And so now we have things in motion. Now the next thing is, that's one of the big catalysts. So the interesting part is that apparently Cupid got its alert just a few days ago. And we're very close to earnings on Veru. Veru earnings are coming up. Let me see if I can get an exact date. The date is jumping around. Some people have it the 8th. Some people have it the 14th. Let me see if I can get an exact date. Don't see any real date. Like I said, it could be this week. It could be next week. It's coming up. They usually do an announcement announcing that they're going to release their earnings date. Sometimes it's a few days before that. So my guess, my guess is if they got the contract just like everyone else got their contract, they have a choice of holding it and releasing it when they release their earnings to kind of offset maybe lower sales so far this year. Really, just to hold on to it, or do they want to announce it before earnings comes out? I mean, that's an important thing. So my guess is we haven't heard it now. That it's going to come out with the earnings. They're going to announce a contract, and to see how that's going to bounce out. Not to say this, this market, this stock still can't go down. I mean, that is, we've seen many strange things in the market. So that's one thing I did, And let's take a look at the chart here fast, because I'm a chartist, and this is something I pay attention to a lot. And as you can see, Veru's chart is not a typical pump and dump stock. It's not a downward trending stock, which you've been seeing, and a pop and then a drift and a pop and a drift further lower. This has been drifting higher. We are in here mid-January, right in that January pullback area, and we've been trading it, and we're really holding it because we're expecting much higher things on this. And we have the timeline. Everything that is supposed to happen looks like it's on schedule. So there's no reason to, not to believe that this continues to move higher, especially when that news comes out of the contracts to continue to funding their trials. I think the real moneymaker is going to be down the road in their drugs. Their drugs, their prostate cancer drug, their other drugs that deal with other issues, hot flashes. They have many irons in the fire right now, multiple irons in the fire. Any of these could catch on. They're expecting a partnership in the second, stage 2 trials, and that's also here hitting at 2019. So we're coming towards the end of 2018. This is a cheap stock, and typically it's not a stock that I trade, but because we know so much about it, we're following the numbers. We follow. It's actually a great looking technical stock here. The other big thing here is it's a divergence, and if you know me from trading live on Day Trading Radio, this divergence right here is a powerful indicator. It's where momentum has shifted back up here, and we're starting to turn back up. And we didn't go lower on the stochastics than the low back here, but the price took out that low. So we have a nice divergence, a daily divergence. Everything here pointing for a big pop. The question is, where does it go? You know, we're in a big. I have a big position. I have a lot of people in it with a big position. So full disclosure on that. The question is, how far do you go? Where do you take profits? Is it a double from here? Does it pop 40 cents? Does it? All those would be good gains. $3 would be you'd love that. Or does it go to 4? Or is there bigger news down the road? It goes to 7. This could be one of those stocks. So, if this video helped you, we're trading it live at DayTraderRadio.com, and expecting some news to come out over the next couple days, based off of actually the next couple weeks, I'd say. And technically speaking, this is a very nice setup. Everything else is going according to schedule. I think this is a great opportunity on this pullback right here under $2. All right, so that's it. Hopefully you gain something from this. And again, if I think I'm overstepping something, please correct me. I have no issues with that.